News9. I take you through news from India and across the globe. I start with Banu Mushtaq, the revered author. In fact, she's a Booker Prize winner. She was invited for Dasara festivities and there was huge objection that she is Muslim, so she cannot inaugurate a Hindu festival. That was organized by the Karnataka government. Karnataka government decided to invite her, but here the Supreme Court, petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court says this is a secular country and if it's a government organized event, then religion should not be a question. Well, we take you through that with our panelists, and finally in our deep dive segment, we will take you through TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. Over a year after Ratan Tata passed away, it seems like the company is going through a churn where they're laying out nearly 30,000 employees. Yet to nearly 12,000 we hear are already on their way out, and that backlash is mounting on that company. We're going to take you through the effects of it, the fallout, the struggles of techies at this point. And finally, we will give you a glimpse of the story that's coming in from the United States, where an Indian techie was shot dead by the police there in California. They claim that he was trying to attack his roommate, but the family says it was a petty fight where the police got involved. Take you through those details as always. Headlines first. India urges Riyadh to respect mutual interests after Saudi signs defense pact with Pakistan. Clause equating attack on one as attack on both raises concerns. Indian Ministry of Defence sources confirmed that after Operation Sindoor, terror groups shift bases to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen expand new campus with backing of Pakistan Army and the agencies. Senior BJP leader Ravi Shankar Prasad accuses Rahul Gandhi of deliberately trying to weaken democracy claims. His vote chori allegations against ECI promote anarchy and violence in the country, he says. Rahul Gandhi's aide, Sam Pitroda, overseas Congress chief, urges India to focus on improving ties with its neighbours, including Pakistan, Bangladesh and Nepal. He says, I've always felt at home in these countries. I felt at home in Pakistan, I felt at home in Nepal, Bangladesh. These countries are small, India is a big brother. We should ensure that the neighbourhood is peaceful. Pitroda's words has resulted in huge backlash. Sidramaiah rules out any delay in caste census, says Backward Class Commission will take independent call amid BJP criticism of divisive politics. Remember, you're also looking at the Kurba community. Given the ST status, that's precisely what they want, and it seems like that's also in the works. Sidramaiah holding hectic meetings with that regard. A 24-year-old man found on the terrace of actor-politician Vijay's Chennai home was secured by police. The intruder reportedly mentally unstable. Probe underway into how high security premises were accessed. Shoppers clash violently at Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex Apple store as they scramble for iPhone 17 variants. Security struggles to control the crowds there amid stampede-like situation and aggressive confrontation. We saw punches blowing there. People have the money but clearly no civic sense. Indians want iPhones but do not know how to stand in line. Afghan universities remove 140 books by women authors and outlaw 18 subjects, including human rights and sexual harassment. Taliban cites conflict with Sharia and system policies in latest crackdown on education. Neeraj Gaiwan's drama Homebound, chosen as India's official entry for Best International Feature Film at 2026 Academy Awards. The film has already earned acclaim at Cannes and Toronto ahead of its domestic release later this month. All right, Let me start with our big story here. Karnataka erupted after the government of Karnataka chose Banu Mushtaq to be inaugurating the Dasara festival. After much of the backlash and protests, finally the matter went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court now upholds Karnataka government's decision to invite Banu Mushtaq as Dasara chief guest. The petition against this invite had claimed that Mushtaq's participation will only hurt Hindu religious sentiments, as she has made anti-Hindu statements in the past, and of course there are some pujas etc. which she can't participate because she is not Hindu. Supreme Court though has rejected the appeal filed by the petitioner challenging the Karnataka High Court's order. In fact, the Karnataka High Court earlier had said that they cannot interfere in this matter as it's a government event, and the constitution does not allow any interference in a matter of this kind, where it's a state government's initiative and religion basically should not come as a question there. In fact, the state government's decision to invite International Booker Prize winning author Banu Mushtaq as a chief guest to inaugurate the Dasara festivities it's going to be happening in Mysuru on September 22nd. During the hearing, the two-judge bench of the top court, headed by Justice Vikram Nath and Justice Sandeep Mehta, asked the petitioner about the purpose of filing this plea. Petitioner's lawyer, H.S. Gaurav, argued that the issue affected his client's rights under Article 25 of the Constitution. Supreme Court then asked him what the preamble of India states. Gaurav replied, saying secular. Then the bench added, but that should not interfere with my religious activities. Basically, if we are a country that is secular, secularism also means that nothing interferes in one's religion or religious activities. So according to Justice Nath, he asked the petitioner to go read the preamble again to the Indian Constitution, asked how he might expect the state, in reference here the state government of Karnataka, to differentiate between its subjects all on the basis of religion. The top court then dismissed the plea, stating that this is a state program. How can the state distinguish between A, B and C? Now, in this plea, the council urged the Supreme Court to pass an order contending that performing puja inside a temple was a religious act, not a secular one, and citing a series of judicial precedents, reminding the petitioner that the Dasara celebrations are in fact an event organized by the state government. The top court cited past precedents, including one in which Kannada poet K.S. Nisar Ahmed also participated years ago. He was invited as a chief guest for Dasara itself, and at that time, where your fundamental rights not affected. This is precisely what Justice Nath has asked the petitioner. When Nisar Ahmed participated the last time, were your fundamental rights not affected back then? Senior advocate P.B. Suresh, who appeared for the petitioner, told the court that invitation to Banu Mushtaq to inaugurate a religious ceremony infringes upon fundamental rights under Article 25, which says the state cannot interfere with religious activity of any citizen, further arguing that letting Banu Mushtaq perform religious ceremonies would breach the constitutional rights of the freedom of religious practices of Hindu community. He's argued that while she could inaugurate the event, she must not be allowed inside the temple, not only because she was a non-Hindu, but also because she's made some non-secular comments in the past. Well, there you have it. We're looking at Banu Mushtaq at this point allowed to inaugurate the Dasara festivities by the Supreme Court, even though the petitioner says that she's not Hindu and she can't basically carry out pujas, and the inauguration involves some religious activities. It's the Supreme Court now that has upheld, or rather dismissed, upholding the Karnataka High Court's order, saying that they cannot interfere in it because the country's constitution is secular. If a government is organizing an event and if they want to invite a Muslim to inaugurate a Hindu celebration, it's not wrong. At least it's not infringing on any constitutional rights. Let me bring in our guest, Brinda Arige, social activist. She is from Karnataka. We also have Dr. Rajiv Nanda, senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Both of you, thank you very much. Brinda, let me start with you, as you're from Karnataka. Huge hue and cry on Banu Mushtaq being welcomed as the chief guest for Dasara. We know Dasara is very important. It has huge sentiment attached to it, and it's largely a Hindu festival. But Dasara also, wherever I've grown up in Bengaluru, Karnataka, Mysuru, I've covered Dasara multiple times. It's all a congregation of cultures and celebration of people, of just just the art and festivities, along with, of course, the religious festival. It's also about culture, art, and a lot more. So Banu Mushtaq inaugurating it resulted in uproar among the Hindu community, at least the right-wing community in the Mysuru region, saying that this is absolute disrespect. How can she carry out pujas and how can she be part of Hindu religious programs? It's not possible. Bring another Hindu guest as a chief guest. How did one receive this in Karnataka?
I think the general public, the citizens of Karnataka, really have no problem, because we are so proud that a Kannadiga has won the Booker Prize award. She has made us proud, not just as Karnataka Kannadiga, but as an Indian. And Dasara Nabila, like you pointed out, is a Hindu festival. But in Karnataka, it is a state festival. And all tourism revolves around this state festival. And this state festival, like you mentioned, is celebrated by everybody, irrespective of religion, caste, or creed. So there is no one group that can usurp and hold monopoly over Dasara. There may be certain pujas over there that are done by Hindu priests, but that does not stop any other Kannadiga from participating in those pujas also. Now, that said, what Banu Mushtaq has been promoting and what her book is also talking about is the values of courage, of service, of wisdom. All of that is what is resonated as a legacy of Dasara also. Dasara's legacy is not just the pujas. It is much beyond all of that. It is the people, it is our culture, it is our language, our history, our heritage, our art. It's all of these things put together. So no one group, I would even want to add a right-wing group, usurp it and say that, she cannot be allowed. It is only ours, our sentiments are hurt. I don't think common people's sentiments are hurt. We are very proud and we are very happy that a woman so worldly accomplished has been invited to inaugurate the Dasara. And like you pointed out, like your channel pointed out just now, there was a man earlier. Nobody had anything to say about the man. He was also a Muslim. But here, because she's a woman. So, most of the political parties and groups talk a lot about women, women's rights, equality, but they refuse to extend that respect and dignity to women when it matters. And now it matters, and I'm so happy the Supreme Court has put its foot down and said,
one of the contentions that the petitioner had is that Banu Mushtaq has made anti-secular comments in the past. In basically, some of her works was also endorsing Islam and speaking about her religion. So it's not secular. So why are you forcing us to have a non-secular person be part of it?
Every Indian under the Constitution has the right to have their own views, opinions, even dissenting views and opinions. Nobody can stop. That does not mean she says that I don't like India, I don't like anybody else in India. Has she ever made such a statement over there? Has she said that my religion is supreme and nobody else can come and talk otherwise about that religion or their own religion? We have a view about my religion. I have a view about my religion, and I have a right to talk about it. That doesn't mean I'm anti-secular. That doesn't mean I don't respect other religions. Just because I don't talk about other religions, does it mean I'm anti? No. I have a right to talk about my religion. I have a right to talk about my personal culture or my, the population that I come from, the group that I come from, the caste that I come from. I have a right to it. I speak loudly, I speak vocally, I am articulate, yes, but I haven't said anything about others. Does that make me anti-secular? No, right. She has a right to it.
So the Supreme Court ultimately, its verdict is binding. We are just basically trying to get to the nuances of this, what this means in a larger sense, because we are such a country that is so polarized today. This will certainly set precedents for events to come in the future, and therefore it's important to discuss. But Dr. Rajiv, I will come to you on the question of how you interpret this bench's insistence that Dasara is a state program. And basically, in a way, it's blurring the line between culture and religion altogether. I will come to you right after a short break. Do stay with us.
Chandigarh, Coimbatore, NCR and Bengaluru, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Raipur and Hyderabad. We've been here, we've been there, Veka's been just everywhere.
Elegant styling meets adrenaline pumping performance. Drive a world of sporty sophistication with the all-electric VF7 from VinFast. India price starting at rupees 20.89 lakhs.
मैं कहना चाह रहा था कि प्रोमिनेंस नहीं है।
Prominence मतलब?
प्रोमिनेंस विंडोज, इसमें है हाईएस्ट वेदर रेजिस्टेंस और घर को रखे सेफ फ्रॉम टर्माइट, सीपेज, डस्ट एंड नॉइस। वुडन फिनिश से लेके कंटेम्परेरी कलर्स तक। प्रोमिनेंस फॉर द वर्ल्ड यू डिजर्व।
All right, let me bring in our panelists on that. Dr. Rajiv, your take on the Supreme Court dismissing this on 3 counts, saying that this is a secular country, we cannot interfere with a government-state program. But the government program also involves religious practices, there is puja that is going to be involved, and that's precisely the stand of the petitioner. He took that stand while saying that we can't have her participate in pujas because a non-Hindu is just not allowed inside some temples. So at least respect our feelings there. Interpret that for us.
With utmost respect to the Supreme Court of India and today's verdict, I'm not here to criticize what the Supreme Court has said. I'm here to let me interpret the Constitution as I feel as a constitutional practitioner in the Supreme Court of India. See, this is a state function. State comes under Article 12 of the Constitution of India, which says that any instrumentality of the state or state itself will be subject to the proceedings filed against them. So this is rather a case where Supreme Court or the High Courts under 226 could have interfered. Yes, it is a state activity. Had it been a private activity, yes, perhaps there would have been the question about the courts exercising their jurisdiction. But not today. Today is a state function. And now I come to the second part of it. The Supreme Court said that it is India is a secular country. Secular doesn't mean that secularism cannot override Article 25 to Article 30, the freedoms given to manage their own religious affairs. This is purely and strictly a religious function. You may invite people from all over the other religions to come and participate, but certainly not, you cannot force somebody who's not from the religion, and certainly not after it has been opposed. This is the problem. It is not that the question of the state could have or state could not have invited. State is very well within their jurisdiction to invite anybody. But then when they invite people from the religion of which the function is not, like in the present day, it is the Hindu religion's function. So if a non-Hindu is invited, and especially when it is opposed, then it becomes the court's duty to protect the sentiments and rights of that particular religion. Here, the court ought to have interfered and said that, look, now since it has been objected by certain people, and this is a particular religion's function, it is a religious function where she will be not only participating, she will be heading that function, she will be inaugurating that function. It is so unfortunate that the majority's view has not been majority, or a particular community who's objecting to it. Please do not impose such kind of things on us. And this kind of stoppage has not been done. What my sister just now said, that Kannadiga and women and all that, I respect a women. I respect secularism. But when it comes to be objected by certain people, and especially from that particular religion, then certainly the Article 25 to 30 will prevail. They will have the say, and the courts ought to have interfered here.
You know, We also have Mr. Grover joining us in the panel. Thanks, sir, for taking your time out. Karnataka's Banu Mushtaq, who's so celebrated for her works, she had to really go through a lot of embarrassment. And this is, it's hurtful in a way if a person who was invited with such respect to be part of the event. The right-wing brigade in Mysuru region went all guns blazing, claiming that she has made anti-Hindu remarks in the past, or basically she's not really secular. She speaks about Islam, etc. So why is the government pushing her on us? It's a Dasara Hindu festival. She should not be invited. She can't participate in religious pujas, etc. and temples where she can't enter. So why is the government insisting on having her? This is basically nothing short of appeasement politics. That's what the BJP called it.
Good evening, Navila, and everyone in the panel. First thing of all, before we get into why single out Banu Mushtaq is my question. Every year, the Chamundeshwari temple is visited by over 10,000 foreign tourists of different religions. Those who we can identify by their color and by their nationality that they're not Hindus. So why is it that, when they have had this kind of access, why we are targeting and singling out Banu Mushtaq, who's a Kannadiga and an Indian also, and somebody who has in the past revered the deity, says that this is a vow that I had and I'm glad that I'll be able to complete the vow. So, the very fact that she has that kind of reverence for the deity itself should dispel any kind of difference thing. Yes, she is a revolutionary leader, Bandaya Sahitya, as we call it in Kannada. The fact is, she has spoken about not religions, she's spoken about oppression of the backward, she's spoken about oppression of the women, and most of her writings have been limited to that and have highlighted that. And this is the reason why the Booker Prize has also come her way, and we should recognize the fact that she is somebody who's contributed to the upliftment of the society, not any specific religion, as is being said that, it was Islamic or un-Islamic kind of a thing. So when over 10,000 foreign tourists who are identified as, from other countries, they have free access to the temple, why is it that Banu Mushtaq should be singled out today? We've had the great Nisar Ahmed, who was also the chief guest of the Dasara in 2017. So why have different yardsticks? Just because some right-wing groups want to agitate, some right-wing groups want to, get political mileage out of it.
At that time when Mr. Nisar Ahmed was part of, he was invited as a chief guest, was there any uproar? Any objection?
There was no uproar. No, there was no uproar at that time, and that is something that you should, think. What has changed in 7 years or 8 years now that we are seeing this? Certainly, it is being done for political mileage, and that's a very unfortunate thing. That if the same right wing wants to object to Banu Mushtaq, let them stand at the Chamundeshwari temple every day and see to it that no foreign tourist enters the temple, or no other Sikh or Christian enters the temple. So this is something where I feel very surprised that we're making this as an issue, and I'm glad that the courts have given support to this issue, and even her own writings and statements are there on record that it's a long pending vow of visiting the Chamundeshwari temple, and she's happy that she'll be able to do it. So you have to respect her reverence to the deity itself. The temple belongs to the deity. The temple does not belong to any political party. The temple doesn't belong to any right-wing group, that they should have these kind of objections and even fight for it.
Brinda, Banu Mushtaq's invitation there, her participation, is this a step towards inclusivity? Would you see this as a welcome move, something that should be adopted across? But I get at the same time, you have the Hindu activists who say that if this happened in a Muslim festival or anything that has a Muslim-centric ritual, there would be such resistance to have anyone outside the religion. So why should we be so secular when secularism is basically two ways, always? Why are we not allowed to follow our religion with that much zeal when the Muslims are not so open?
let us place on record, the Karnataka Dasara festival is a state festival. It is a celebration of cultural integration. It is also the celebration of our history, heritage, language, like I said, all of this, but it is also the celebration of unity and inclusivity and mutual respect, because now the Chief Minister has agreed and invited Banu Mushtaq to come. Now you made this comment that why the Hindus are asking Islam or Muslim festivals don't allow us. Why do we get into hypothetical situations over there? This is a state festival. She has been invited and she is a woman who has accomplished, and we must be proud about it. Now, if the Muslims do invite, will you go? Don't we have iftar dinners and lunches? Haven't people gone? So what are they talking about? If you want to go and do your namaz, you can also go. I don't know if any mosque will stop you. You have to cover your head and you go. If you know the chanting over there, go and do the namaz. I'm sure, nobody's going to stop you, but do you want to do it? So let's not get into hypothetical situations and questioning. Right now, we need to say nobody can claim monopoly over Karnataka Dasara except the state of Karnataka and its people. Okay. And that is what we want to reiterate here, because that is the unity, inclusivity, and mutual respect. Because here we are talking of integration. Here we are talking of secularism. Here we are talking of the Constitution embodying itself in the festival called Dasara in Karnataka.
Right.
Let us not allow anybody else to usurp it. It is the people of Karnataka who are celebrating it, not anyone.
But people of Karnataka's Mysuru region have objected to it. The place where it's happening, those are the locals who have objected to it, along with the BJP, of course. And they have a sizable the large number of people who have objected to this. It's not just one or two voices that came out.
Then let's go back to what Mr. Vijay Govar said. Please stop all the 10,000 tourists who are coming in over there. Do not allow them to come
Double standards.
Yes, and we don't want these double standards. We welcome everybody.
Right. Mr. Grover, you had a point to make on that?
Multicultural state.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to a fact that, if you know the Nagore Dargah, the Urs there, the procession starts with the customary visit to the Shiva temple, and the pole of the Nagore Dargah, when it's taken out, the sandalwood for that is given from the Shiva temple. So this is something, we've had cultural heritage where the people have, lived together with that kind of thing. So,
right. So this is sheer politics in your eyes. As I barely have a minute here, Dr. Rajiv, would you want to conclude to us on what kind of precedent this sets? Does it set precedents for religious, cultural, government events in the future?
I will repeat here at the cost of repetition. I will say that it is state function. That is why all the more reason for court to have interfered here. Now, let me dispel this belief that this belief is being created all over India, and perhaps this was the belief created in the court also, that it is a question of Hindu and Muslim. It is certainly not the question of Hindu and Muslim. It is the question of Hindu and non-Hindu. This is a certainly admitted a Hindu festival, and if Hindus have the freedom to practice their religions the way they want and exclusively to them, Article 25 and 30 up to 30 guarantees that. In the name of secularism and progression and inclusivism, you cannot override the sentiments of the majority people of this country. Please let us, wait for the stage to come, then we are ripe to that kind of mentality. Okay. Presently, we are not.
Okay, if Brinda wants to make a comment, I've got to slip into
inclusivity. It is a festival of inclusivity. Yes, there may be pujas, there may be Hindu ceremonies, but all of that done, you cannot stop me from participating in those ceremonies. Because I am an Indian.
26th January or 15th August or 2nd of October ceremony. The state government
Karnataka Dasara is a state festival. Our taxes are utilized over there. We do not say, please give only Hindu tax and don't take Muslim and Christian tax. It is a state festival and it is a tourist attraction. And let us be very clear, it is unity, diversity, celebration of mutual trust and secularism.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, all of you. I will wrap it right here. Really appreciate all of you joining us. A quick break, we'll be right back.
Mount, India's #1 brand for roof and wall puff panels. Roofing experts for houses, cold storages, warehouses, resorts and all commercial buildings. Holds 2 world records for manufacturing 1,20,000 square feet of puff panels in just 24 hours and constructing 1,20,000 square feet of PEB building in only 64 hours. Mount, India's pride honoured in the Parliament of UK.
Dreaming about me.
Love is to get lost in the look. Unlimited Love B6 Pack 2 starts at 21.9 lakh.
Mumbai, brace yourself. The GOAT or Batra of satire is back. Cyrus Roja. From politics to pop culture, from your WhatsApp forwards to breaking news, nothing and no one is safe.
Relax, guys, relax. I only roast the truth, and the truth is always hilarious. Too much pressure.
Get ready for news caustic, bold, sharp, unfiltered, 100% Cyrus.
Football is our culture. Match days turn into festivals. Every goal ignites the crowd. Strangers become family. Football is our culture, but goals are our tradition.
What is to the nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
All right, welcome back. Let me take you through the big layoffs that's happening across the IT sector, but it seems like the anger is right now directed towards TCS. It's been nearly a year since the passing of Ratan Tata, a leader who's remembered for building not just businesses but trust and dignity at workplace. But tonight, the crown jewel of the Tata empire, Tata Consultancy Services, is facing several questions that cut at the heart likely touch nearly 30,000. In fact, in a case, a veteran of nearly 30 years who worked at TCS reportedly told that he was just 20 minutes, he was given 20 minutes barely to decide whether he wanted to take early retirement or he wanted to be terminated. There was no severance package given. One worker in Kolkata says that he was given an ultimatum, resign or be terminated. Similar accounts. In Chennai, another person was reportedly placed on what insiders call the fluidity list, where he was stripped of the company assets and forced out without a warning. Now, across cities, IT unions are now protesting, demanding transparency and dignity in how India's largest private employer treats its employees. They're also demanding government intervention to prevent job losses and call this move as illegal and arbitrary. TCS, of course, has denied the allegations, calling them misinformation spread by anonymous users. But we see protests on the streets in many places. In fact, one person we hear was even sleeping in front of TCS office in the form of protest. And the protest basically has techies pushing for people not to resign. And that's their protest slogan as well, don't resign. Now we're looking at the volume of consistency here of these stories that's raising troubling questions about whether India's largest private employer still sees its people as assets or have many of them become liabilities. Who next is the fear that these techies have. Also for years, mass layoffs in the IT sector has been normalized, even as labor laws meant to protect workers are brazenly sidelined. What are the real safeguards for them? And what should exist in place? How do employees be protected from silent layoffs that are now disguised as resignations? To give us a little insight, joining me are Alagunnambi Welkin, General Secretary, Union of IT and IT's Employees. I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Ramnath Kamapalla, IT professional, joining us from Hyderabad. Thanks very much, both of you. Ramnath, let me start with you on the visuals we see here of some protests happening by IT employees, asking TCS employees particularly, don't resign. Now, what's this don't resign slogan that you all have raised?
Yes. We have seen continuously TCS is getting in the media news regarding these layoffs and all kind of calling for early retirement, what you call a liquidity list or something like that. So obviously the employees who are working in the Cognizant are getting scared and worried regarding their future course of action, what kind of. Generally, the TCS or Tata has very, very huge legacy, and it's a great branding in the society. The people who are working in the TCS or Tata group, they felt their own company. Generally, some sayings are there now in common people. If you are getting a job in Tata group or TCS, it is like nothing but a government job, fully secured job until retirement. So that kind of sayings we have seen, we have exchanging words of these kind of situation from the people, but the things has been completely changed from the last few days. It leads to their trust also. It is not only worried of employees or employee families. It is about to branding of Tata Group and TCS and about stockholders who are invested in TCS Group since so many years. So definitely the TCS leadership has come into forward and to address these all allegations and make some promising words towards employees and all stakeholders. Why? Because we have seen recently the Tata Group has lost his chairman Ratan Tata. So after that, in a row, there are many issues over here for the recent months. Also, they made some discussions regarding Tata Sons group chairman, who will be the next chairman instead of Chandrasekhar. Somebody will take over. Arnoyal has objected some decision. Something, all kind of allegations or remarks we have seen for the last 3 days also. So in all these kind of circumstances, the TCS leadership must come forward and make the responsible answer and give some take preventive measures and make to build a confidence in the employees as well.
Absolutely, if Mr. Alagunnambi can give us a little on how would you look at it? We know resignations are being forced by some companies, and let me be clear to our viewers here that it's not just TCS. There have been many other companies I wouldn't name right now. Right now, TCS is in the spotlight, but so many companies working in India who've unceremoniously pushed out their employees, either asking them to resign with dignity or we fire you. So, and if you're fired, then you won't even have good ratings to join elsewhere. So it's such a double-edged sword for a lot of them. And the layoffs are happening in dozens on a daily basis. So what's the future you see here? And how much do you know of this story?
Right. So right before this announcement from Keethi, the CEO of TCS, there are a lot of calls we are getting to the union number and we are addressing. So probably around hundreds of people we have addressed so far in the last 2 months or so across India. And even before Keethi Vasan has announced this information that they are going to send out mid and senior level employees out of their payroll, as part of their restructuring initiative, they have amended their policy. It's a policy called bench policy. So we have released a statement even then when the policy was amended, stating that TCS is planning for a mass retrenchment, illegal retrenchment. That is why this kind of amendment is being used. So from that point, it is planned action by the TCS to send out tens of thousands of people. And the number they are claiming that it is 2%, 12,000, it's all false. Employees inside TCS are saying the 12,000 numbers were crossed well ahead of the announcement. And our informations are now is that it is already crossed 30,000 or so people. So every day in Chennai, there are hundreds of employees made to sit in the HR, before the HR room. One side, there is a psychological counseling room. The other side, there is a doctor sitting there to address any emergencies. And in between, there's a HR room where a security person will collect all your chains, even your chain, your electronic devices, and they'll send you inside for a meeting which there is no prior information on what is going to be discussed. And once you are inside the meeting, they'll tell you to resign. If not, you'll be threatened. And for a middle class family, a person who's living, whose family livelihood depends on a single person's earning, would be scared to hell by the way the HR's treating them. And at the end of the meeting, you need to resign, or they will threaten you that they will terminate you, and they'll threaten you, empty threaten, which basically means you won't get any job anywhere. So this is one of the cruelest and mass illegal retrenchments happening in India in the history of Indian IT industry. And the main problem is the government, state governments and the central governments, they are bystanders. Even though these companies announce large numbers in media and execute it, the government, the labor departments are not intervening. And
I wanted to get to the loopholes in the labor laws. How are these companies bypassing labor laws so freely?
They're not bypassing it. They just simply ignore it. And the enforcers, the labor department, they don't act. They don't do their job. The affected employees are crying when they speak to us at the last moment that I pay 30% tax. I'm a highest taxpayer in my neighborhood. Why government is not intervening? So this is the question employees ask, and we don't have any answer. We want to make, first of all, the labor department accountable, then the TCS, for enabling such cruel illegal retrenchments.
You know, this is really quite a jolt to the IT employees, and now the fear looms on who next, right? Ramnath, do you also feel that pressure sometimes? And another thing, we're looking at retirement age drastically reducing. From 60, it's now come down to 50. People are being pushed to go into, their entrepreneurial journeys, not out of their sheer passion. It's basically out of desperation. They've got to find or look for a backup option. And what I also see is all these fields of tech, engineering, etc., are no more the most sought after. If this is what the fate is, you might as well pursue your passion right in your young age. Any kind of form of art and culture and whatever, right? Because studying engineering or tech will give you great dividends. That myth is busted now.
Yes. Now we have already observed in the different social media platforms recently regarding 30 years of years worked in TCS. The person has called for early retirement or forcible retirement within 20 minutes without any severance pay or without any termination notice or something like that. So definitely now, obviously the people who have committed working in the TCS around for 30 years, it is a big challenging to look for other alternative. What you said is 100% right. I do agree with you. Why? Because the people who are in early age, there is many more options to explore their career path. after work 30 more years in same company, in same domain, how they are looking for other alternative kind of options at the time of his. It is very difficult for not only him, their family members or everything who are dependent on him is more scared now. So definitely what the IT union member told, definitely all state government or central government must be intervene in the company laws. Almost the government has allocated to lands to the private sectors, land to IT companies in 99 paisa per acre, 13 acres or 14 acres. Still, state governments are allocated lands to IT companies. But whenever these kind of layoffs or some kind of terminations are happened in the media, why governments are keep silencing? The central government must be intervene and make some arrangements. No, there is no possibility to terminate many people at a time. It is against for the laws. What my colleague said clearly, it is not only bypass. They are completely ignoring the labor laws. It is also violation of government, violation of rules and regulations. So particularly,
and that's what when they speak up, and none of them are willing to speak on television. Of course, you guys are doing a great favor to them by putting this out there and showing your face, because we know that they're all worried for their future now. They can't find another job if they actually diss their own company. That's the worry. But a final word, Mr. Belkin. Is there anything that your IT association is going to do to push for the rights of IT employees? What next?
So we started functioning since 2018. And since then, we have filed multiple cases against multiple MNCs. And what we have learned is Labor Department or the government are not interested to regulate these companies. Without bringing these IT MNCs into regulation, especially on the performance appraisal or the bench policy or the work from home policies, even the background verification method, which the companies use to threaten employees, there is no hope for employees to have a safe and well-to-do livelihood and the work culture. We, as part of the union, along with other unions across India and also the international in other countries, we are building a coordinated effort to expose TCS, that is, and the other companies, because exposing and establishing that these companies, whatever they claim or the blame which they put on the employee's skill set or on the employee's performance or arbitrarily wrong, or it is misdirection.
Absolutely.
The business decision is what making the employees sacrificed for the profit maximization.
So we'll see. They have a battery of lawyers. How far are you going to be able to fight? That's also a question, but more power to you. If you have the case and you are strong with your ground, then we just hope that your people who are approaching you for justice find it. Thanks very much, both of you, for joining us on that. All right, let me quickly cut across to our top stories on Day Tonight. Let's start with a very tragic story coming in from the United States. An Indian software professional has been shot dead by the police in California. 30-year-old Mohammed Nizamuddin from Mahbubanagar, Telangana, was gunned down in Santa Clara earlier this month. In fact, this happened on the 3rd of September. Sadly, the family was informed about this death, the police killing him, basically shooting him, only in the last 24 hours. That many days had passed and the family cries foul. In fact, the relative of that boy says it was a very minor quarrel with a roommate that allegedly spiraled into violence and ended in tragedy. On September 3rd, police say Nizamuddin allegedly stabbed and pinned down his roommate. Officers claim that they tried to de-escalate the matter, but when the knife allegedly came down towards the victim, then 4 bullets were fired. He was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. His parents, though, were only informed later. Like I mentioned, his father, Hasnuddin, says that he first heard from a relative about this case, about the death of his son. In fact, the relative, though, tells news channels, while speaking to a news agency, the relative says that that fight was basically over a very petty issue on air conditioner setting. And that fight between the 2 roommates escalated and knives were out. The relative says when the police entered, one boy raised his hands. The police said, "Show your hands." One boy raised his hands and the other did not, which clearly looks like it was Nizamuddin. He did not raise his hand as he may have had a knife. According to the relative, the police fired too quickly. It was a petty quarrel which the police could have handled easily, but they fired too quickly. The family has now written to the Ministry of External Affairs pleading for his mortal remains to be brought back. What makes this case murkier is that just days before his death, Nizamuddin had posted quite a chilling note on LinkedIn. He alleged racism, harassment and even poisoning of his food in his workplace though. He wrote, "Enough is enough. White supremacy has to end. Oppression of corporate tyrants must end." Nizamuddin had even worked with Google in the past and claimed that he faced racial discrimination there. Now, just a larger question here on what really led to the police striking without thinking. Was Nizamuddin really in a bid to kill his roommate, or was it a petty quarrel that could have been handled better? And the whole the cloud of racism that surrounds Nizamuddin's death, because he's put out multiple posts on his social platforms claiming that he was subject to heavy racism in companies within the United States. All right, let me cut across to Karnataka's Bengaluru. After the storm over Black Buck's exit from Bengaluru's IT corridor, citing debt-trap roads, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has now promised that Bengaluru city's potholes will all be fixed by November. He says this right after Black Buck said that they're planning to exit. In fact, they exited and relocated within Bengaluru itself, but it kicked up such a hue and cry that DK said, "I promise by November things will be sorted." But while we expect repairs to have already begun, here's another incident that happened today, an accident rather, that's left DK and his team embarrassed. A school van got stuck in an open drain in Panattur-Belandur Road this morning. Just days ago, a school bus carrying 20 children slipped into slush on Belagere Road, nearly toppling the bus. Well, today, a similar incident happened. Dashcam visuals captured the bus tilting dangerously, a nightmare, of course, for parents and the students inside. The numbers reveal the depth of the crisis. Bengaluru is Asia's most congested city. That's what it's deemed as now, with records actually showing that. It's the world's third slowest city, imagine. 10 kilometers in Bengaluru takes 30 minutes. From 1.2 crore vehicles in 2021, Bengaluru has now 1.2 crore, basically 1.1. From 1.02 crore vehicles, Bengaluru has now 1.2 crores today. The city, of course, is looking like it's choking with more vehicles being added. The cost of civic neglect, of course, over 19,700 crores lost every year, along with 7 lakh productive hours, swallowing all up by traffic. Frustration has, of course, reached boardrooms. We saw Black Buck responding in a way they did and slamming the Bengaluru infrastructure, while you had IT Minister from Andhra Pradesh, Nara Lokesh, says, come to Andhra. We will give you the best and we will not threaten you. Because remember, DK said, I don't care. You don't threaten us. Your threats will not work. So you had Nara Lokesh seizing that opportunity and says, come to us, we'll give you the best infra. But, well, nonetheless, DK also stressing that there is nothing like Bengaluru. Bengaluru's infra is unmatched. If you really look at other cities, Bengaluru is far better. Imagine the comparison. Let's really compare. Bengaluru, Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, it all drowns when it rains. For India's IT capital, of course, Bengaluru at this point, the stakes are very high because you're looking at children now complaining, school parents who are really frustrated, videos being put out by all of them extensively on social platforms condemning this, saying that if we are paying high tax, if property prices are so high, if just cost of living in Bengaluru is so high, then please, our right is to have basic good infrastructure. Let's hope DK really paces up the fixing. November is just around the corner. All right, the storm is now brewing in Kerala's politics and in its temples. The gold plating of the Sabarimala sanctum, meant to enhance its divinity, has now turned into a controversy of missing gold, unanswered questions, mounting political heat. In fact, the Kerala Assembly today witnessed uproar after the Congress-led UDF's adjournment motion on the Sabarimala gold plating controversy was blocked by Speaker A.N. Shamsheer. The opposition, citing the deep anguish of devotees, pressed for a debate, but the Speaker rejected it, saying that the matter is already before the High Court. A dramatic opposition walkout also followed. Let's have a look at those visuals in the assembly there. At the heart of the row, serious discrepancies flagged by the Kerala High Court. The controversy began in 2019 when the TDB, the Travancore Devasthanam Board, removed gold-plated copper plates for repairs without informing the special commissioner or the court. So basically what they found was that 42.8 kgs were handed for delivery, but only 38.25 kgs was received. Imagine the 80s gold that was sent for polishing and some works to Chennai. 42 kgs went, 38 kgs came back. Even after replating, discrepancies remained and the defects appeared within 6 years, despite a 40-year warranty on the Dwarapalaka idols. Bench called this a strange and worrying matter. The court in Kerala basically slamming this, saying this is not petrol, it's gold, how can it just vanish? Records show the shortage was noted in custody, but no recheck was done during reinstallation. The High Court has now ordered Devaswam Vigilance to probe this matter and submit a report within 3 weeks' time. Remember, the opposition now cornering the Kerala government, saying all of this has happened under your watch. The Devasthanam's gold is missing and you don't even know. Give us a report in 3 weeks' time. At least that's what the court says. All right, cutting across to a tragic story coming in. Ya Ali, the song that has made this man a household name. Popular singer Zubin Garg, one of Assam's brightest cultural icons, has died in a tragic accident. 52-year-old singer was in Singapore to perform at the Northeast India Festival. In fact, Zubin Garg had gone on a yacht, we hear. In fact, Zubin Garg was on a yacht trip with some members of the local Assamese community where an accident occurred which claimed his life in Singapore. We hear that Zubin was trying to scuba dive, and some reports suggest that he had some breathing complications. Now, whether the scuba dive kit, the oxygen mask, etc., did it fail or something else happened, we are yet to establish. Reports are yet to come. Investigation is currently on. But it is sure now, we hear that he was on a yacht trip with some local Assamese there. And when he tried to scuba dive, he passed away during that stunt. And they tried to revive him. CPR was given, but unfortunately, by the time he was taken to the hospital there, he was declared dead. Now, just hours earlier, Zubin had invited fans to join him at the festival as well. There was a video that he put up on his social media platforms where he asked his 2.1 million followers to join him for the festival. Zubin, one should know, sang the best of songs like Ya Ali from Gangster, Dil Tu Hi Bata from Krish, and lots of Assamese and Bengali tracks, and he will be remembered. Rest in peace. Now, a racket so brazen, it's fooled even immigration officers. A fake Pakistan football team flew all the way to Japan armed with forged clearances and bogus papers. 22 men posed as national players of Pakistan, all in a bid to illegally migrate to Japan. They've allegedly each paid 12 lakh Indian rupees to an agent who promised them an easy ticket abroad. With fabricated letters, supposedly from the Pakistan Football Federation and the Sports Ministry, they've managed to board flights and land in Japan as well. But the game ended there. Authorities quickly discovered the sham, arrested these men and deported them back. Investigators have now zeroed in on Malik Waqas, described by Pakistan's FIA as the mastermind here. He allegedly created a dummy club called Golden Football Trial, forged multiple documents and even trained these men to act like professional footballers at the airport to slip past checks. Waqas, arrested on September 15th, confessed to running a similar racket even in 2024, where he said he's already sent 17 men abroad using the same trick, making them look like footballers. The scam is, of course, exposed now, alarming gaps in verification systems and how full-fledged teams could be manufactured to cover up what was essentially a human trafficking operation. Pakistan's FIA now has detained 22 individuals. Probe has widened into the boldest con in recent memory. Thanks very much for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Breaking news. Major disruption is expected this week.
Yes, disruption confirmed. That's me. Relax, no scams, no scams. Just my brand new show, News Caustic with Cyrus.
If blood and water can't flow together, should sports and blood flow together? Are we really condemned to play with this rogue nation? There's no behavior change in Islamabad. So what they did in Pahalgam cannot be normalized. Jaish-e-Mohammed commander has exposed Pakistan's direct patronage of terrorism. Why is this happening? This is required because it is an existential crisis for them. Isn't there a way we can send a stronger message? Will Saudi Arabia come to Pakistan's help? Have we been taken by surprise? This is about politics. This is about India. Pahalgam effect did not leave Dubai Cricket Stadium untouched.
Football is our culture. Match days turn into festivals. Every goal ignites the crowd. Strangers become family. Football is our culture, but goals are our tradition.
What is to the nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Sam Pitroda clarifies on his felt at home in Pakistan remark. Says remark was to push people to people ties and not intend to ignore geopolitical ties and terrorism. Two Assam Rifles jawans killed, 5 injured after gunmen ambushed paramilitary vehicle. Investigation is underway. The governor of Manipur has condemned the attack on the security forces, and that's N. Biren Singh, the former chief minister, who's visited all the jawans at the nearby medical facility where they're receiving treatment. We'll tell you all about it. Stay tuned. US President Donald Trump speaks with Chinese President Xi Jinping to seal a TikTok deal and ease trade tensions. Donald Trump says call with Xi was very productive. Leaders are next going to be meeting in November. Japan's RNI upgrades India's credit rating to BBB+ with a stable outlook. This is the third upgrade this year, citing strong growth and reforms, lauding the policies under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Pakistan Cricket Board responds to ICC's letter alleging violation, says its media manager had authorized access to this player and match officials area and did not violate ICC rules, adding any SOP lapses should be clarified by the match referee itself. Renowned Assamese singer Zubin Garg passes away in Singapore following an epileptic seizure whilst swimming. Prime Minister Modi, Assam Chief Minister Several other VVIPs condole the popular singer's death. Neeraj Ghewan's Homebound named as India's official entry for the 2026 Oscars in the Best International Feature category. The Dharma Productions film stars Ishan Khattar, Vishal Jethwa and Janhvi Kapoor. Well, Congress leader Sam Pitroda has landed in yet another controversy, this time over his remark that he felt at home in neighboring countries. Facing criticism, Sam Pitroda issued a clarification on social media, saying that his comment of feeling at home in Pakistan only meant to emphasize the shared history and the people-to-people bond in the Indian subcontinent. In a post on X, he said his aim was not to ignore pain, conflict, or the grave challenges we face from terror and geopolitical tensions. And he further wrote, "My intention has always been to call attention to the realities that we face. If my words have caused confusion or hurt, I want to clarify that my aim was never to belittle anyone's suffering or undermine legitimate concerns, but to foster honest conversation, empathy, and a more grounded and responsible approach to how India sees itself." Now, Indian Overseas Congress Chief Sam Pitroda has said that he felt at home when he visited Pakistan. In an interview to IANS, he said, and I quote, "Our foreign policy, according to me, must first focus on our neighborhood. Can we really substantially improve relationships with our neighbors? I've been to Pakistan and I must tell you, I felt at home. I've been to Bangladesh, I've been to Nepal, and I feel at home. I don't feel like I'm in a foreign country." That's what Sam Pitroda had said. And now, issuing that clarification, well, the emphasis was on people-to-people ties and fostering this harmonious relationship between various people in the Indian subcontinent. If my message hurt the sentiments or belittled somebody's sentiments, that wasn't the idea behind it. Meanwhile, big news coming in. Unidentified gunmen ambushed a mini truck carrying Assam Rifles personnel in Manipur, killing 2 and injuring 5 others. The incident occurred at around 5:45 p.m. in the Nambol Sabal Lekai area of Bishnupur district. Nambol is about around 15 kilometers from the state capital of Imphal. In general area, Nambol Sabal Lekai, the column was ambushed by unidentified terrorists on the highway in the denotified area of Manipur. In the ensuing action, 2 personnel of Assam Rifles were martyred and 5 are injured, who have since been evacuated to RIMS and are currently stable. Raids and army statement at this point in time. The personnel were headed to the Bishnupur district from Imphal. The injured were later taken to a hospital by the police and the locals. Quote unquote, as of now, no group has claimed responsibility. Search operations are ongoing to eliminate the terrorists involved in this incident, further read the army statement. Now, the attack comes 2 days before a bandh called by valley-based rebel groups opposing Manipur's merger agreement of September 21st, 1949. In recent months, the police and the security forces have apprehended several militants in the state. You've got the former Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, who's made his way to the RIMS hospital to take a stock of the situation and meet the injured Jawans who are currently receiving treatment. Unfortunately, 2 Jawans were martyred in this ambush at the hands of terrorists. This happening in the Bishnupur district, even as this entire entourage of the army Jawan officials was heading towards Bishnupur from Imphal. Moving on, Air Force Chief Marshal A.P. Singh on Operation Sindoor said that it was halted only after 4 days because India had achieved its objectives of decimating terrorist establishments in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Air Force Chief said that any conflict has a lot of price which has to be paid and it affects the preparedness for the next one. Listen in.
तो मेन लड़ाइयाँ चल रही हैं आजकल, whether it is Russia, Ukraine या फिर वो Israel वाली लड़ाई जो चल रही है, वो चली जा रही है. सालों साल बीत गए हैं क्योंकि कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट टर्मिनेशन के बारे में नहीं सोच रहा है कि हमें एक बंद भी करना है. आई थिंक व्हाट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, जो हमारे को भी ऐसा बोला गया था कि भाई फीलिंग्स ऐसी सुनने में आई हैं और लोगों ने भी कहा है कि नहीं और थोड़ा करना चाहिए था, बहुत जल्दी हमने रोक दी लड़ाई. यस, वो बैकफुट में थे, नो डाउट, बट हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या थे? हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव एंटी टेररिज्म था, उनको स्ट्राइक करना था, वो हम कर चुके थे। तो अगर हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मीट हो चुके हैं, उसके बाद व्हाई शुड वी नॉट टर्मिनेट अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, व्हाई शुड वी कैरी ऑन? क्योंकि कोई भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है उसके बहुत सारा प्राइस होता है जो हमें पे करना पड़ेगा। इट विल अफेक्ट आवर प्रिपेयर्डनेस फॉर द नेक्स्ट वन, it will affect our economy, it will affect the general, progress of the country. So I think this is what the world is forgetting. उनको यही नहीं पता कि हमारा टारगेट क्या था जब हमने लड़ाई शुरू करी थी। अब वो गोल पोस्ट उनका शिफ्ट होता जा रहा है। Egos are coming in between, and this is where I think world has to learn a lesson from India how to start and terminate a conflict at the earliest possible opportunity.
Moving on, in the United States, a major free speech storm that has erupted after ABC indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel's popular late-night show over his remarks on the Trump administration's response to the killing of Charlie Kirk. Late-night hosts Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, and even veteran David Letterman have all come out in support of Jimmy Kimmel, calling his suspension an assault on free speech. Now, Colbert mocked ABC's parent company Disney for bowing to pressure from FCC chair Brendan Carr, a Trump loyalist, and the Trump administration at large. Meyers joked that if he had ever criticized Donald Trump, it must have been AI, whilst Jimmy Fallon told his audience that Kimmel was, quote-unquote, a decent, funny, loving guy who should return soon. It was the veteran David Letterman who was blunt, calling ABC's move silly, ridiculous, and managed media, accusing networks of caving in to an authoritarian criminal administration. Quote unquote, of course. Now, Mr. Stewart, filling in on The Daily Show, lampooned the administration as state-approved entertainment and compared Donald Trump's tactics to authoritarian regimes.
Diverse perspectives, and we are not afraid to be different. Oh, Donald, we pledge to thee our word. Oh, Donald, we love you. My name is Jon Stewart, and welcome to The Daily Show on, I'm going to guess, Monday. I don't know. We have another fun, hilarious, administration-compliant show.
Portion from that show that took place last night. The backlash isn't just from TV hosts. Like you can see, protesters gathered outside Disney's headquarters, accusing the company of caving to political pressure. Reports suggest Disney executives are already trying to negotiate Kimmel's return amid mounting public criticism and even death threats directed at him and his staff. Donald Trump, meanwhile, doubled down, claiming without evidence that 97% of US media is against him and suggesting some networks should have their licenses revoked.
Trump must go! Trump must go! Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go! Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go!
A fascism being hammered into this country, into the rule.
Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go! Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go!
Trump must go!
Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go! Jimmy Kimmel stays! Trump must go!
A fascism being hammered into this country, into the rule.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday celebrated Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, a day after Disney-owned ABC announced it was yanking his late-night comedy show indefinitely over comments he made regarding right-wing activist Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Kimmel he was fired, he had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent.
ABC has not said that it fired Kimmel, who has not commented on his removal from air. A person familiar with the matter told Reuters that behind the scenes, Kimmel and Walt Disney representatives were desperate to calm a social media furor that erupted following criticism of his remarks. However, the source said they could not find language that they agreed would not further inflame the situation. Trump went on to say TV broadcasters should lose their licenses over negative coverage of his administration.
They give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away.
Writers, performers, former U.S. President Barack Obama, and others have condemned Kimmel's suspension, calling it capitulation to unconstitutional government pressure. Prominent Democrats such as California Governor Gavin Newsom said Trump and the GOP were mounting an assault on free speech rights guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment.
Jimmy Kimmel stays, Trump must go.
And in New York on Thursday, protesters demanded Kimmel be reinstated.
ABC, throw us fine.
In the weeks since Kirk's murder, allies of Trump and Kirk have warned Americans to properly mourn the divisive figure or face the consequences. While Kimmel is the most famous American to face professional blowback for comments about Kirk, other media figures, academic workers, teachers, and corporate employees have also been targeted. Alexander Volokh, a professor of law at Emory University School of Law in Atlanta, says that marks a notable shift for the right.
Well, this is basically cancel culture run wild, and recently people have been used to cancel culture coming from the left, and now the right has embraced cancel culture with great gusto after having complained about it for years. Your employer can fire you for any reason they like, unless it's a specific prohibited ground like race or sex. But your political beliefs or the views that you expressed on social media, in almost all places in the United States, your political views are not protected, and you could be fired for.
Now, ABC has pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off air indefinitely after the late-night host's remarks on the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. In his monologue, Kimmel accused the MAGA gang of politicizing Charlie Kirk's death. The comments drew sharp criticism from the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, who branded them as sick. President Donald Trump also weighed in, dismissing Kimmel as not talented and claiming that he was fired over bad ratings. But fans of the comedian see it differently, calling the suspension an attack on free speech. Are major media companies aligning with Trump's White House at the expense of free expression? That's the big question, which we'll continue to ask right here. Moving on, in a story that sounds stranger than fiction, French President Emmanuel Macron is now being forced to go to extraordinary lengths to prove that his wife, Brigitte Macron, is indeed a woman. The Macrons are battling a bizarre gender conspiracy, with the French First Lady accused by critics of being a transgender woman. The controversy has gone so far that the couple will present the documentation in a defamation lawsuit they have taken against American right-wing podcaster Candace Owens after she promoted her belief that Brigitte Macron was born male. Tom Clare, a lawyer acting for the Macrons, confirmed that France's president is preparing to present photographic and even scientific evidence in a US court, including images of Brigitte pregnant and raising her children. Now, this dramatic step comes after years of wild allegations that Emmanuel Macron's wife is secretly her brother, who changed her gender, a conspiracy theory that first surfaced online in 2017 and gained traction during the French elections. The Macrons earlier sued a blogger in France, but the defamation verdict was overturned last month. Now, the claims are being amplified again by US far-right commentator Candace Owens, who has staked her reputation on calling France's First Lady a man. Calling the smear campaign upsetting and a distraction, the Macrons say this defamation suit in the US is their last resort to shut down the conspiracy and set the record straight. Let's take a look at what's happening in the West Asian war theater. After relentless bombardment, mass displacement and a death toll crossing 65,000, Israel's campaign already defies precedent. Still, the army has issued its starkest warning yet, pledging an even deadlier, unprecedented assault on Gaza City. Residents have been urged to flee south, even as the main evacuation corridor, Salah al-Din Road, was shut today. Plumes of smoke rose over Gaza as Israeli tanks pushed deeper into the city. The army has cut internet and phone lines. Tanks now control eastern suburbs and are pounding neighborhoods like Sheikh Radwan and Tel Al Hawa, key gateways to central and western Gaza, where most civilians are sheltering.
I will flee anywhere, as long as I move, away from, escape, death. I want to flee with the boys, the girls, the children. This is the situation that we are living in. It is a very tragic situation. We call on all the Arab countries, and the people who have a good conscience to stand with us. The situation is really bad, all night long. The tank was firing shells. There is no one left. Take a look at the camp and see the state of it. Very bad state. We have children, we have women, we have girls, we have women, and I swear to God from yesterday we have not had any food, and we have no money to leave.
The offensive, Israel says, is part of its plan to defeat Hamas. But the humanitarian fallout is staggering. UN figures show more than 250,000 people have been displaced from Gaza City in just the past month. 60,000 fled in 72 hours earlier this week alone amid artillery, tank and air strikes. Aid agencies warn that so-called humanitarian zones in the south lack food, medicine and basic shelter. Meanwhile, Israel has also shut its Allenby Bridge crossing with the Jordan side, the sole gateway for the West Bank, after a shooting at the checkpoint that killed 2 Israeli soldiers. But for Gaza's civilians, the warning of unprecedented force is not a threat, it's a reality that they are already living. Moving on to Indonesia, over 800 school students in Indonesia have fallen ill in yet another case of mass food poisoning linked to the government's free meal program. Officials say the worst hit was West Java's Garut region, where nearly 570 children from 5 schools suffered nausea and vomiting after eating chicken and rice. Around 30 were hospitalized, though most have now recovered. Another 277 students fell sick in central Sulawesi, prompting meal distribution there to be temporarily suspended. Since the program's launch in January, over 4,000 children have suffered food poisoning. Questions are now being raised on hygiene standards and oversight, especially as President Prabowo Subianto's flagship scheme aims to expand from 20 million recipients to this year 83 million. The government has apologized, saying students will temporarily be served basic food like bread, milk, eggs and fruit. The world's humanitarian system is under strain like never before, with aid workers' deaths hitting record levels and US cuts disrupting projects worldwide. The United Nations is sounding the alarm. Ahead of next week's General Assembly in New York, UN Aid Chief Tom Fletcher is urging governments to push back against what he calls sustained attack on humanitarian values and funding.
With a bruising year behind the aid sector, the United Nations' top humanitarian voice is calling for a response from world leaders. UN Aid Chief Tom Fletcher wants the world body to push back against what he called a sustained attack on its values and funding at next week's UN General Assembly in New York. According to UN data, aid worker deaths rose nearly a third to almost 400 last year, the highest number since the records began in 1997. Then in January, US President Donald Trump returned to office and cut US foreign aid, sparking chaos for humanitarian projects. The Trump administration says it made cuts, as spending aid often didn't align with its America First policy. Trump also believes the US pays too much and wants other countries to contribute more. Fletcher said humanitarian groups can't wait for the US to restore aid funding.
Look, we reckon the support is out there. I don't think there is less support for kindness, compassion, global solidarity than there was just because of the results of a few elections. Now, I hope that governments will step up and fill this space, but I hope we can also build this wider movement of citizens that will back that work. I was in Washington at the weekend and had good conversations about potential areas of engagement, cooperation, partnership. So I'm not giving up, at all on a good proportion of that funding.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Newscast. Top developments continue on the other side. Keep it with News9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Love is nothing without the thrill. Unlimited love. The B6 Pack 2 starts at 21.9 lakh.
सर वाटरप्रूफिंग के लिए बेस्ट है। वेंकी जी एक छोटा सा गिफ्ट बिरला ओपस अश्योरेंस देने के लिए।
ऐसा क्या है इसमें?
1 साल में वाटरप्रूफिंग को कुछ भी हुआ तो वापस करके देंगे।
वापस करके देंगे?
वो भी फ्री। पेंटिंग में पहली बार बिरला ओपस अश्योरेंस। रजिस्टर करो birlaopus.com पर।
Curves that turn heads. Intelligent touches that excite. Presenting the sleek and smart, all-electric BF6 from VinFast. India price starts at 16.49 lakhs.
Vicky, Kara, move. Heads up, guys, but company. Citroen Basalt. Thrill me, style.
Chandigarh, Coimbatore, NCR and Bengaluru, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Raipur and Hyderabad. We've been here, we've been there. Veka's been just everywhere.
Football is our culture. Match days turn into festivals. Every goal ignites the crowd. Strangers become family. Football is our culture, but goals are our tradition.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Hello, everybody. Warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. And on the show tonight, we're diving headfirst into a political firestorm that's got the nation and the Gen Z buzzing. Rahul Gandhi's clarion call to Gen Z to save the Constitution and stop vote chori. But is this a genuine plea to protect democracy, or, as the BJP charges, a dangerous incitement to unrest? They have drawn parallels to the youth-led upheavals in Nepal and Bangladesh. And here's the deal. It all ignited with a social media post from the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. In his post on X, Rahul urged India's Gen Z and the youth, the digital natives born between 1997 and 2012, to rise up, protect democracy, and halt what he calls vote chori. He wrote, and I quote, "Gen Z of the country will save the constitution, protect democracy, and stop vote theft," I unquote. Now, this comes amid Congress's escalating allegations of electoral malpractices, including claims of manipulated votes in the recent elections. Now, the BJP isn't taking this lying down. They've come out all guns blazing and swinging, accusing Rahul Gandhi of inciting unrest and rejecting the constitution itself. Top BJP leaders and allies have dismissed Rahul's narrative as political theatrics designed to foment disruption, even drawing dangerous parallels to youth-led uprisings in Nepal and Bangladesh.
क्या कहना चाहते हैं राहुल गांधी? आप कहना क्या चाहते हैं? कि एक जनजे के नाम पर देश में आप अराजकता फैलाना चाहते हैं? ये बहुत गंभीर सवाल है। और ये पूरा ट्वीट किया गया और उनका इकोसिस्टम ने जनजे के नाम से ट्वीट करना शुरू किया। ये बहुत गंभीर विषय है। राहुल गांधी जानबूझकर लोकतंत्र को कमजोर कर रहे हैं, देश में अराजकता फैलाना चाहते हैं और हिंसा अराजकता को उकसा रहे हैं।
देखिए, मैंने पहले ये कहा है कि वोट चोरी का मामला नहीं है। राहुल गांधी जी का दिमाग चोरी हो गया है, और जब दिमाग चोरी हो जाता है तो इसी प्रकार की बातें लोग कहते हैं। मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि इनको देश के संविधान के प्रति कोई आस्था नहीं है। देश के संविधान ने तैयार की हुई सारी व्यवस्थाओं को नकारते हैं। अब तो उन्होंने अपने अर्बन माओइस्ट होने का सबूत ही दे दिया। अर्बन माओइस्टों वाली भाषा वो कर रहे हैं कि जेन ज़ी ने आकर संवैधानिक सरकार को उलट देना चाहिए। इस प्रकार की बात जब कोई करता है तो इससे अलग बात अर्बन माओइस्ट क्या करते हैं? उनके सारे जो लोग एडवाइस देते हैं, सारे एडवाइजर उनके अर्बन माओइस्ट इस प्रकार की विचारधारा के हैं।
उन्होंने कहा, देश का नौजवान, देश का बेरोजगार, देश के लोग, जनजी संविधान की, लोकतंत्र की हिफाजत करेंगे। और बदले में भाजपा के जो सांसद रहे हैं या सांसद हैं, पाठक जी क्या कह रहे हैं? घर जलवा रहे हैं राहुल गांधी, घर जलवा रहे हैं अखिलेश यादव के, जिन्होंने उनको बुरी तरह पराजित किया। और दुबे जी के बारे में तो मैं इतना ही कह सकता हूँ, क्या हो गया है उनका, मानसिक संतुलन बिगड़ गया है, क्या हो गया है उनको, क्यों इतने क्षुब्ध और दुखी हैं कि वो उस ट्वीट को गलत पढ़ रहे हैं।
जेन जी प्रोटेस्ट को उनका इस तरह से जो है वो बुलाना, इस तरह से मांग करने के, ये नेपाल का जो है मॉडल यहाँ पे चलना चाहिए, सबको जिंदा जला देना चाहिए। और उनको ये बात पता होनी चाहिए कि नेपाल में जो है वो जेन जी ने एक नेपोटिज्म सरकार को जो है वो ध्वस्त किया है। तो शायद उनको कुछ आइडिया नहीं है कि वर्ल्ड में चल क्या रहा है। वो लगता है सुबह सुबह आंखें मलते मलते उठते हैं और कुछ भी पोस्ट कर देते हैं, कुछ भी लिख देते हैं।
Well, so those are the different opinions that are doing the rounds on social media. That's what the political corridor is full of. But let's talk about the Gen Z, because Gen Z is not just a buzzword, they're actually a powerhouse. India boasts of 377 million Gen Zers, making up 30% of our population. Combined with the millennials, that's up to 52%, higher than the global average of 47%. And get this, 20% of the world's Gen Z calls India their home. We've got an informed panelist with us on the broadcast tonight, and the big questions that we're trying to decode and ask. How much influence does Gen Z wield in shaping India's political future? And is Rahul Gandhi's appeal a genuine call to protect democracy or a politically motivated campaign to unsettle the government? Are BJP's charges of instigating unrest reflective of legitimate concerns, or is this only a mere political counterattack? With us on the broadcast, Xavier Rodriguez, founder and editor-in-chief, Goa Chronicle. Many thanks, Xavier, for taking out the time. Advocate Arshpreet Khadial, spokesperson, Congress Party, who's soon going to be with us. Siddhi Vinayak Singh, rapper and social worker. He has his own platform, an inclusive platform called Village Vigilantes, helping out the local community and the farmers as well. Congratulations on your recent single. Saw all of that on social media as well, Siddhi. Vijay Grover, senior journalist, also with us. Many thanks, Mr. Grover. for taking out the time. All right then, Savio, let's get the ball rolling very quickly. Rahul Gandhi says that the Gen Z will save the constitution and stop this vote theft. Then why does the BJP see this as an incitement rather than a democratic mobilization? Let's get the ball rolling. We, of course, have different facets of this to discuss here, but this here for starters. Savio.
Yeah, my personal opinion on the Gen Z, which is one of the very powerful energies anywhere in the world, not only India, is that Gen Z does not bow to any political party. They will not bow down to the BJP. They will not bow down to the Congress. They have a mind of their own. They have an intention of their own. They have visions of their own. They have aspirations of their own. Political aspirations also exist in the Gen Z, and they basically want a nation, whether it is India or anywhere in the world. They want to see fair practices. They want to see a country and an economy growing. They want to be able to be treated with the freedom and the fairness that they demand. That is the intrinsic quality of the Gen Z. So while Rahul Gandhi, while the BJP will have their own political intent as far as the Gen Z is concerned, my personal belief and my personal confidence in the Gen Z of India is that they will never undertake any act to destroy the social fabric as far as India is concerned. They will not resort to anarchy. They will not resort to turning violent, as you have seen in protests in Bangladesh and in Nepal recently, because by and large, the Indian Gen Z is an aspirational lot of young Indians who want to see India progress. Politically, yes, some of them might belong to a political party, and some of them might not even be belonging to any aspect of politics. So what they want is a rising India. What they want is an India that gives them wings, gives them, basically be the wind beneath their wings in order for them to fly. And that is intrinsically what Gen Z is. Gen Z is not more bothered of the petty politics that political parties will play. What they are interested in knowing is, can we create entrepreneurship? Can we get jobs? Can we have a better standard of living? Can we have better roads? Can we have better facilities?
No, you're absolutely right, Savio. But I mean, I do need to ask you, what do you make of that tweet that Rahul Gandhi put out yesterday? And everybody very selectively took out the Gen Z bait, called it the Gen Z card. But is it really him instigating a Nepal-like situation just because we're still hungover with what really happened in Kathmandu? Or is he trying to mobilize? Because, if there really is genuine youth anger, isn't this the BJP with what, Kangana Ranaut is saying, what all the BJP leaders are saying, aren't they prematurely dismissing their frustration maybe a little bit too easily?
No, but that's precisely what I'm saying, Kabir. I'm trying to make the people understand that the Gen Z does not care about what any political party thinks about them. What they want the political parties to understand is that they are aspirational and they have a certain vision that may or may not align to any of the political parties.
Yep.
What they want is a better India. If you were to ask me in a nutshell, even today I might have certain, links to political parties that I'm close to. But if I were to ask my daughters who are Gen Z whether they would prefer this political party or the other, to them it does not matter. What matters to them is a political party, or rather leaders in political parties, opposition and ruling, bureaucracy and various other institutions working towards a progressive India. They want to be in India. They want India to do well. They don't want to go abroad. Your Gen Z is looking at an India of today and an India of tomorrow. They don't care about an India of the past. They are seeing ahead. This is a Gen Z. This is the AI time. This is the technology generation. They will go leaps and bounds ahead of us. They're not going to be people left to think in an ancient thought process. They will want to progress. They will want to aspire.
Savio, before I move on to other panelists, no, you've made some pertinent points there. I consider myself to be the youth of this nation as well. I want all of those things that you're talking about as well. Drawing parallels with what happened in Nepal, is that right at the moment?
No. I'll tell you why. Because the youth of India are little different from the frustrations of the people that have happened in Nepal. Please also understand that while the youth frustration in Nepal was a trigger, The youth themselves, some of them have said that they did not expect it to scale up that high and turn into a violent protest. Can India and the Gen Z of India do that to India? The answer is no, because I believe much more than politicians, the Gen Z have a value to India as a nation, and therefore they would want peace and stability in India.
All right, all right. We've got the Congress spokesperson with us on the broadcast as well. Many thanks for joining us, Advocate Arshpreet Karyal. Arshpreet, critics say Rahul is invoking Gen Z not for democracy, but to systematically destroy it rather, and to incite instability. How does the Congress party defend the intent of the leader of opposition?
Number one, the intent of the leader of opposition is to ensure that our democracy stays the way it is, that it is not turned into a dictatorship, something that the Bharatiya Janata Party has been attempting to do for a very long time. Number two, the intent is to ensure that the constitution stays supreme. The Bharatiya Janata Party at every nook and corner has tried to undermine the constitution of India, has undermined the Honorable Supreme Court. So that is the intent. Number two. See, the first thing that I want the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson to do on record is condemn his leader, who said that houses of Rahul Gandhi ji and Akhilesh Yadav ji will be burnt by the people. They'll be set ablaze. Condemn that, expel that leader, and say it on the record. We condemn such statements that instigate violence, that instigate and provocate the youth. What about that? The youth are being, instigated due to such statements. So many incidents have happened back in the day. There's so much vigilantism happening. So the Bharatiya Janata Party, instead of ensuring that the youth is directed towards the right way, is sending them the wrong way. Number two, we want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party, why should vote chori not be an issue for the youth of the country? They are being affected. They are our future. What about the demographic dividend? And number two, other than that, the Adivasis have been affected due to the vote chori. The minorities have been affected. The backward classes have been affected. Everybody has been affected. And we have given you facts and figures. So why should the youth not speak against it? Everybody in the country has been opposing you on that, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has not been able to tell. Why are you against transparency? Why are you against accountability? Why are you against responsibility? All we are seeking is that not a single vote should be deleted unnecessarily. Not a single person should have to suffer violation of his constitutional
but
rights.
Arshpreet, do you think the optics here play a little bit of role as well? Because you're right, the vote chori series, and it seems like that atom bomb and the hydrogen bomb is still yet to be dropped. We've already seen various headlines saying whether it's hot gas or hydrogen bomb. We'll leave the vote chori angle aside for the time being. Let's talk about this clarion call coming from Rahul Gandhi, which you've defended his intent per se, but the optics, does that matter a lot? Not because Kangana Ranaut, we just heard her reaction. She says Gen Z rejected the nepotistic dynasty in Kathmandu, and the Gandhis representing Gen D, generation dynasty themselves. Is Rahul Gandhi the right messenger to mobilize this Gen Z and youth bloc that often resists legacy politics? That's one question that people are now asking on social media as well. What's your opinion on that?
Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party is definitely not fit to lecture us on nepotism, because Jesha Saab, Amit Shah Saab's son, who is now heading ICC in Asia, India-Pakistan match just happened under their regime, under his leadership. Number two, Mr. Rajnath Singh's son, is he not into is what of that? And other than that, Mr. Thakur, Anurag Thakur, then Nirmala Sitharaman ji. When we talk of dynastic politics, what does the Bharatiya Janata Party have to say over all these leaders who have, such links with nepotism? And you cannot defy them.
No, you're right. You cited some credible examples. All I'm saying is, let's leave the BJP aside for the time being. The Nepal dispensation was brought down because it was nepotistic in nature. Now, people on social media, and that's where the community is essentially divided, they say Rahul Gandhi also is symbolic of the same generation. So is he the right messenger to be delivering this message? Maybe we do need the youth, and this clarion call is actually justified, but then again, is Rahul Gandhi the right person to be putting that out? That's one question.
I'll answer your question. See, number one, we have to understand one thing. That a person who becomes the leader of opposition cannot just survive on the basis of what his family background is all about. It is only possible when you put in determination, consistency, persistence, hard work, and you give your blood and sweat to it. See the yatras he has done. See what he has done for the people of the country. See what he has been doing time and time again consistently. And the Bharatiya Janata Party, when it does not have the answers, then they try to basically use unparliamentary language, जर्सी काउ, हाइब्रिड का, विदेशी ताकतों का मौरा, कांग्रेस की एक कौन सी विधवा है, 50 करोड़ की गर्लफ्रेंड. These are the kind of languages that they've been using. These are the kind of words they've been using. So my only request to the Bharatiya Janata Party is that if the Bharatiya Janata Party cannot respect the youth of the country, instead of telling them to set houses ablaze, the Bharatiya Janata Party should ensure that the youth of the country is put to good use. It's, in 45 years, highest unemployment rate, inflation is touching the sky, people who have PhD degrees are standing in queues for the job of a peon. And in these circumstances, in these situations, the Bharatiya Janata Party, instead of helping them, instead of ensuring that their future is protected, is opposing the concerns that have been raised vis-a-vis vote chori. The 16,018 votes that Mr. Gandhi just talked about, and he has presented the people. Pratyaksh ko praman ki zarurat nahi hoti. People who did not even know their names were being used to delete votes. And in 14 minutes, 12 names were deleted at 4:07 a.m. First thing in the morning, people are deleting names, and all the applicants happen to be on serial number 1. This all goes on to suggest that there is a problem which needs to be addressed. And who other than our youth? Who other than our youth to do it?
And that's exactly why we have somebody from... We have somebody from that demographic. We have somebody from that demographic with us here on the broadcast. Siddhi Vinayak Singh, let's pass the buck on to you now. When Rahul Gandhi talks about vote chori, do you feel this message speaks to the youth out at large? We've been talking about political aspirations for the longest time now. Do you see it as just another political slogan? Rahul's appeal to save the constitution, does it resonate with the larger youth out there?
Thank you for having me, Kabir. It's a loaded question. I think, let me just take a while to just talk about it in a very non-partisan manner first. It doesn't matter if Rahul Gandhi says it or anyone else says it. Those problems are legitimate, and I think they pretty much resonate with everyone, all the stakeholders who are involved as the citizens of the country, whether they are political or non-political in nature. That said, I think when it comes to something like an insurrection which is being imposed here, I think from the perspective of a young person who turned 18 in 2013, who pretty much saw the transition from one government to the other, I've been witness to the fact that there were many such problems back when I was growing up as a boy of 17 and 18 as well. And those problems are pretty much the same, if not, aggravated in today's time. So what we feel particularly is that no matter how many divisions we see, society is a composite organism, right? And when we see that this organism has contracted some sort of a fever, and that might be things like insurrections and uprisings and protests, a fever is not a disease in itself, but a symptom of a larger infection inside. Yeah. So we can keep debating about whether हमारे टाइम पे 99 था, आपके टाइम पे 104 बुखार हो गया. Fact of the matter is that corruption, violence against women, caste discrimination, unemployment, the economy functioning, not capitalism, I wouldn't take that line, but rather crony capitalism for that matter, which is not very partisan in nature. It has pretty much, for my existence of all 30 years, it has been a part of my reality regardless of the party I was in. So in that regard, when I look at some clarion call being put out by someone, they're just stating the obvious. So me, as a young person, would always prefer going back and relying on my institutions, because India has something that the other countries who are facing insurrections don't, which is institutional resilience. But to what degree are those institutions resilient is the larger question. So it doesn't really matter from a partisan angle to me or to any young person, It's all about what lies within.
All right. A pertinent point that you raised over there, Siddhi, the fever analogy, I think it is going to buttress the point home. Mr. Grover, you've been patiently waiting. Many thanks for doing so. Rahul Gandhi has explicitly invoked the Gen Z and the youth out there. Politically, and we've got the numbers here with us, politically, how significant is this bloc in shaping India's next election?
Well, first thing I would want to say is Rahul Gandhi has used the term Gen Z. And many of us in India have started using the term Gen Z only after seeing the Nepal uprising. But if you see every election, every political party targets the first-time voters. They call them the first-time voters, young voters, these voters. Why? Everybody knows the power of youth. Everybody knows the energy that they have and the kind of nation building that they can do. So Rahul Gandhi, if he had just said 18-year-old and not used the term Gen Z, maybe the debate itself would not have been there. But given that, this is something where we need to focus that, what we saw in Nepal, what we saw in Sri Lanka, what we saw in Bangladesh, Indian youth suffer with similar problems. They don't have any problem which is different from what these countries did not suffer. Unemployment being the first one, that's the biggest. I was reading about the UP sub-inspector's exam. 4,500 posts, 15,75,000 people applied for that. So it shows the scale of unemployment that the country faces today, that doctorates, PhDs, MBAs, everybody wants to apply even for a sub-inspector post. So where are we standing today? The problem with the Indian political system is that everybody thinks he's the messiah of the people, be it the BJP, be it the Congress, be it every party. They think they have the solution to the problems of the people. The fact is the problems of the people can be addressed only by people. And the political parties, if they just do their job of governance effectively, I think so half the problems would have been solved by now. They need not play like Messiah, मैं तुम्हें बचाऊंगा, मैं तुम्हारे को ये करूंगा. अरे भैया, my role with a politician or a political party is only once in 5 years when I go out and vote. And if that vote right is also stolen in vote chori, then where's the role that I play as a voter? So that is something where, my role in the democratic system, if it is being marginalized, obviously it's going to upset people. And that's where we need to figure out as to what is the kind of solution. The problem is the fact that I feel this call to Gen Z, certainly because the minds are fresh, they're not hardened. When you talk to a 6-year-old child or an 8-year-old child, he doesn't know even the differences of religion. By the time he's 17 or 18, he knows that there are different religions. By the time he's 20, 25, he knows that there are different castes in my own religion. So this hardening of mind do not have that kind of reason in mind.
All right. Mr. Grover, before I move on, I wanted to take another question from Siddhi. Mr. Grover, do you see Rahul's outreach? And why I'm asking you this is because there's no denying that the Prime Minister has cultivated a direct connect with the young voters over the last decade. I'm trying to understand Rahul's outreach. Is this genuine mobilization or is this a risky rhetoric that could backfire for the Congress's fortunes?
Well, the first thing that it could do is basically just trigger a debate. The fact that it has triggered a debate, people of the young generation will take politics